the side. Horton shoots. He scores!
It's time for the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Here's Jason Myrtetus, Brian Smith, and Chris Therien.
Welcome inside the Wells Fargo Center for the first time this year as the Flyers home opener has finally arrived. Sun-drenched day in Philadelphia. Flyers fans once again going to congregate here at the Wells Fargo Center to root on their team. They returned home with a power play and the first NHL home game for Matvei Michkov, who has certainly captured the excitement of the Flyer fan base. This is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show with Jason Myrtetus, Chris Therien, and Brian Smith and Bundy. Boy, it feels good to be back home.
It does. You know, as we talked about a little bit on the trip, it's nice to get that trip over with. I wish they would have finished it in better style to come home with that 2-1-1 record, but it's not to be. So they're going to have to turn the page and prepare for what is now the home segment of their schedule. And there's no reason to not be excited to come out and play this game with a little bit of buzz under them. They played Vancouver just 8 days ago, so they're familiar with them a little bit. And Vancouver, in turn, is out on the road as well. The only difference is they've been here for a few days, so they're more acclimated than the Flyers. It'll be an interesting start to this game tonight, and that'll be important for the Flyers as we talk about through this preview.
I can tell you this. I remember last year when we came home from Las Vegas, the next day, I felt like I was going to die. And I remember Torts felt like that, and a bunch of people on our trip, that we felt terrible. For some reason, this time, it's not as bad. So I'm hoping that that's the way it is with the players. But from your experience, is it easier to come west to east, I think, as it is, or is it east to west? I don't know what it is. But
west to east is easier.
Yeah, so hopefully it's not as bad as we think it is.
You got the winds behind you going out
jet
west.
stream, Big Al?
Yeah.
The jet stream. I remember taking a flight.
We got back in 4.5 hours yesterday from Seattle. That was crazy.
And what's amazing is you could fly out from here to Seattle. It could take 7 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So
It's like swimming against the stream.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't want to do that. Let me ask you this, because, they played this team 8 days ago for their opener of the season. It was Vancouver's second game. Mm-hmm. But that familiarity with an opponent, I always say it's tough to beat a team twice in a short window of time. But there's been games in between for each of them. Does that mitigate it?
I think so. I think, it's a little bit like turning on your tap and letting the water settle where it is a little bit, in terms of it. But I do think that this there was no advantage at all in the Vancouver Flyers game. The Flyers went 3 days before. They were ready and acclimated for that. This one tonight there'll be an acclimation period absolutely for the Flyers. There's no doubt you can't help not being fatigued. As we said the other night in the broadcast, we were starting the show 9:30 Eastern time, and we said, just think, guys, 48 hours from now they'll be done their game, here at home, a home opener. So, I mean, in terms of what this looks like from the outside and from my past experiences, it favors Vancouver, no doubt, because they've been here and the Flyers had a long travel day yesterday.
Just from the standpoint of how this season has started, we've talked about getting out on the road, getting that trip out of the way, getting some time to bond with the guys. However, the whole trip, you feel like you're kind of disjointed. You're kind of just trying to make your way through it. Now they're home. Now they can get back into a routine, right? That's the part that comes with me with home is that you get the routine. You get they didn't have a morning skate today, but eventually they'll start having morning skates, and all of that will start. I would hope to start to feel more comfortable.
Well, there's no doubt, and there'll be more of a rhythm. This is probably one of the least rhythmic games, if you want to call it, for the year, only because of the schedule. And you hear the adages sometimes. Both you guys have been around a ton as long as I have. Where you say that, like the other team, it's a game you got to be careful of at home because you think it's going to be easier. Oh, you've been on the road. Oh, it's hard. We're going to come home. It's going to be easy. It's never easier at home. It's always harder because you have to treat the game appropriately. I think the Flyers got themselves caught in a little bit of a trap last year at times late in the year. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to flip the script because one thing I will say, when you look at the Flyers' early season right now, there's been some good, but there's been some bad. Yeah. And we didn't really pick up on any bad last year, guys, till about the 40-game mark. Yeah. Even strength has got to improve now. Or it's
-6 in even strength goals?
I think they're worse than that. Or do they even
something like that? Yeah, I mean, it's not good, whatever the number is. It's big minus.
But even Seattle, the Flyers crawled back the other night against Seattle, but Seattle had a 5-2 lead at one point, right? Yeah. So, again, a lot of those goals were even strength. So they have to clean that up, and that would be the biggest thing. Other than that, power plays look good, penalty kills look good. Guys are getting their feet wet underneath them, and I think it's important. So it's been a lot of good, but there's been some team areas that absolutely need cleaning up.
One of the things, you played for a long time. You were on a lot of playoff runs. As I pulled in today around 3:15, beautiful day outside.
Gorgeous.
Fans are out there getting after it.
Yeah.
And when those players arrive here and they see all those fans out there, all that orange out there, having a great time, playing cornhole, doing the whole tailgate thing, what does that kind of do to the belly of a player when he pulls in and sees that? Because you saw a lot of that, Bundy.
Great excitement. I mean, I remember my first game, the first game I'd ever seen. I pulled up in front of the Spectrum, and there was probably 3,000 people in orange jerseys, waiting in front of the Rocky statue, which was there at the time.
Yeah.
And that was our home opener after the lockout, 94, 95. The season started in 95, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I could not believe it. That was that kind of energy. So a guy like Mishkov pull it in today, or other young guys are going to. Jet Lachenko going, holy jeez, man, this is pretty cool.
This is nice.
This is really cool. Yeah, and the fans are jacked up. I went to the Nasty Knuckles tailgate. It was great down there. Everybody's excited. Everybody's excited about the season. They're excited to see Michkov. They're excited to turn the page from last year. And again, I think Danny said it best last year. That'll be determined by the players. And again, this year will be determined by how much of an effort these guys put forward.
Yeah, and again, like, it's just a matter, I think, of getting into that sense of regularity with the schedule. Now you're going to go play a home and home against Washington. They got a couple back-to-backs coming up next weekend, but they're still looking for the lines they want to do, right? They're still looking for chemistry. They're still looking for who plays well with who. And I don't know if that's going to have any effect on it or not, but I think once you get the home opener out of the way, you start to settle in, and it's like, okay, the season started. All right, let's get down to business.
It has, yeah. And I mean, in both, and obviously that's probably going to be a line like, where you kind of figure things out, where you are home now and you continue to grow together. If you recall the first two nights we did on 97.5, Tim Saunders' keys were the team trying to find chemistry.
Yeah.
And they're clearly, it's not there yet. I know Coach Tortorella likes to run things in pairs to try to find that, what works well together, but they're not there yet. They're disjointed a little bit. It's not brutal, but there's certain things that you need that you can only do with practice, and the Flyers have not had that ability to do that since the game in Edmonton, where they'd fallen in overtime. There's not much you can do because of the busy schedule. So this game will get played out, and then they're going to have to find a way to clean things up with some good practices.
Since we were last here for a regular season game, it was April 16th last year, that last game against the Caps when they were eliminated from the playoffs. So this is the first game with two new arrivals. Obviously, one is Matvei Michkov and what he's brought to the equation. And the second one is a byproduct of him. It's called a power play that actually works. I mean, Bundy, what's been the difference on the power play? Michkov's a big part of it, but it goes beyond him as well.
Quick puck movement, making smart decisions. Usually when you look at a power play and you say, how did the puck get out? It's because somebody made a bonehead play and decided that they wanted to try to seam it through someone's skates or try to feather a puck over a stick.
Forcing it, right?
That's always how a power play, to me, breaks apart, when you make somebody do something that they think that they can do and they really can't, or they shouldn't. And I don't care how much skill you have, because it's so tight quarters. That's been a real good sign for this team this year. Their power play has been excellent. Moving the puck, they've had the luxury of having a pure sniper in Michkov, at least from the outside, right? He's not, you can't call him that fully yet, but he is as he comes in with the high reputation. He misleads guys on where his shot goes. And I think that's probably been the biggest key so far.
What does having a bad power play? I don't know if you had any bad power plays when you played, but it's deflating on the bench when you have a power play. It gives the other team juice. When you have a power play, though, and you get great opportunities, sometimes you don't score, but you can maintain momentum from it. But when you do score, it really allows you to ride the wave, doesn't it?
No doubt. And a power play, even if you don't score, you carry that momentum into the next shift, and it's good. And guys will respond well to that. When you have a bad power play, guys respond to that as well, too. It can
and
really,
the opposition does, too.
Big time. It can flatten out. And, see how many times you see a great penalty kill where you're saying, wow, look at this team got life after the kill, because they really, really pushed the pace. They killed off the penalty, and they made it difficult on the team, and then they find the momentum. A good power play, to me, is always less is always more. I think the other thing they've done a good job of, too, is getting shots through from the point.
Yeah.
That's been a real good key. Drysdale had one through. York has had one through. I think one of them was not a power play goal, but it's the same essence of at least getting shots through with some traffic in front of the net.
And creating that variability in how you attack, for sure.
No doubt.
All right, stay tuned. We're going to go across the press box. We're in our new location, by the way, up here. I don't think anybody could find us. I didn't even know this room existed.
Hiding.
It's got like the old school Addams Family door in the
This
bookshelf.
was the rage room.
Oh, this is the rage room.
If you're ever on the run, you can hide up here. No one will find you.
I'm on the run. So we're going to go across the press box, check in with Tim Saunders coming up. We've also got the line combinations, and everybody's favorite part of the program is Bundy's 3 keys to victory. All that coming up here on the Fanatic Flyers pregame show with Jason Myrtetus, Chris Therien, Brian Smith. We're back after this on the Flyers Broadcast Network.
This is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Game show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
All right, we are back live at the Wells Fargo Center. It is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show. Jason Myrtetus, Chris Therien, and Brian Smith, and we are all anticipating the home opener here today. And joining us right now from the booth, a view from the booth, we bring in Tim Saunders. And Tim, boy, it feels good to be back home in this building with the home crowd.
Yeah, it does. I think everybody's anxious about this. They've been looking forward to this, but I will tell you that my body clock is still in California time. So as tired as we are that didn't play, you can just imagine these guys. What a challenge that's going to be to come up with the energy to match Vancouver. Vancouver clearly has an advantage here. They came from Florida where they played the other night, so they didn't change time zones. Hopefully that's offset. You know, you always hear about the first game back after a road trip being kind of a trap game. Coaches won't talk about that because it kind of gives the team an out. It's a reality sometimes. But you know what? I look back at last year. They were 7-1-1 in home games following at least 2 straight road games before that. So I think sometimes it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's a great number. Tim, everybody loves offense, except for me. You need offense. You need to score goals, obviously, to win. But right now, just as important, maybe more important, is preventing the puck going into your net.
Yeah, and if you look at the numbers, it's not pretty. 16 goals allowed in the last 3 games. They're either killing penalties or on the power play too much because they've averaged the least amount of 5-on-5 play through 4 games of any team in the league. You know, we talked about defensive structure the other night. That's where it's got to start for John Tortorella. And sometimes it comes down to recognizing moments in the game when you go and maybe when you play it safe and don't go. And that is a process that I think a lot of the young guys are still going through. But no question about it, you're not going to win many games when you're giving up 3 goals or more. They got to tighten up.
They do have 8 different goal scorers. Good to spread it around. But one name that's not on the list is conspicuously absent.
Yeah, Owen Tippett's an obvious example of somebody that, you know, they expect to get involved offensively. He's been involved, skates like anybody. I think he's probably the best skater on the team. He's probably got the best shot, but he's going to draw attention. He's got 36 shots in 4 games so far. He's only hit the net a third of the time. So that's part of the problem. That might be a sign that a guy is, you know, trying to pick corners. You could see it, I thought, in the game in Seattle the other night. I thought they were trying to intentionally get him the puck and kind of help get him off the schneid. He's one guy that hopefully, maybe he's the guy that breaks out tonight because that'll get this whole offense going.
Thanks, Tim. Bundy, let me ask you about that. Teammates recognize a player they need to be a catalyst for him. And Tim mentioned, trying to get him the puck, trying to get him going because he is a big part of it. 36 shots on goal, 36 shot attempts on goal, only 13 have hit the net.
Yeah, that's nothing more than just focus. Yeah. If you're
Bearing
out trying, there's no doubt. There's no explanation, and I'm sure not going to sit here and make excuses for a guy who's missed 66% of his shots on net. I'm sorry, I just can't. You're a pro, you get paid a lot of money, hit the net. Yeah. And we're talking about him not scoring. Well, imagine if you hit the net 50% of the time. And I'll get to it again on our focus of 3 keys. But it's not just the fact that you're going to score, it's the chaos that comes with a shot on net. It's not about the goal, the guy shooting the puck. It's about what happens after the shot. Because most times a goalie, unless you're going to see a great shot sometimes, and you do, a goalie's going to bear down, he's going to make that save. But if you throw it hard down low, when a rebound comes, somebody's driving the net, that's where your garbage comes from.
It was obvious to me anyway. I think a lot of us thought in Seattle that the Flyers were trying to get Tip going. They were, there was definite look there that they wanted to see if they could give him some opportunities. Normally, we look at the numbers and we see a bunch of missed shots for him, and he had 4 the other night. But he had 8 of them blocked, which is a different problem, I think, right?
That's just as bad.
Yeah,
even worse. Even worse.
When you're missing all the time, you're trying to pick corners. I think when you're getting them blocked, Jason said, you're holding on to it too long.
Even worse. Yeah, getting shots blocked. I remember even coaches when we were on the point, and we got shots blocked. We take a shot as a defense, you're just trying to get through. They get blocked sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's very annoying for the forwards. It's very annoying. And, you usually hear about it, too.
Yeah.
But, missing a shot sometimes when you try to put one off the backboards where it's going to carry him out the front of the net, that's a good play. But getting shots blocked, you're right. You're hanging on to the puck too long, and you've run out of options.
Your guy, one of your roommates, when you played, was a guy that I feel like didn't get a lot of shots blocked, didn't miss the net a whole heck of a lot, and Johnny LeClaire. But when he would go through a period where they weren't going in for him, and you were with him because you roomed with him for a portion of your career, could you see it? Was he wearing it during the day and everything else?
As he got older, I was rooming with Johnny, who was putting in 50 a year too. Believe me, there wasn't too many sleepless nights.
He was strutting up the lobby at a hotel that way.
Yeah, but I always talked about, I said, the best part of my career is no one ever asked me to score a goal.
Yeah.
Not one time. But yeah, there's pressure, and if you ask Johnny about the 2004 playoffs, when they lost to Tampa in 7, I wasn't here. He couldn't score. And that ended up being a significant difference in that series, So, it
was Primo that year, right?
That was the Primo year, but Johnny could not put the puck in the ocean. And I remember the team was talking we don't need him to score. They needed him to score.
Yeah.
And it's tough when you're a goal scorer and you get older and it becomes a lot harder to get to the net or do the things you once did. So, but hitting the net to me is probably one of the top 3 most important things in the game. Because if you miss the net, everything changes. You send the other team on a rush play. It's bad. Nothing good comes of a missed shot.
Because everything's converging towards the net when a guy shoots.
Yeah, and
if you missed it, you're out of whack.
I'll give you an example, like the goal that McDavid scored the other night in Edmonton against the Flyers, right? Now, that necessarily wasn't a shot. It was a pass attempt, but that could have been a shot. And what happens is when you miss the net, they ended up sending 2 guys on a 2-on-0 breakaway. Yeah. That's what happens.
I'll take it down a different road here again, just kind of looking at some of the numbers from the other night, and it kind of piqued my interest. Face-offs this year have been kind of strange, and usually we're worrying about wins and losses. It seems like we've seen guys getting thrown out of the circle this year a ton. You look at the other night, 8 different Flyers took face-offs. Usually you're going to have 5 or 6.
That's the refs calling everything in the beginning of the season and trying to reestablish a rule
it's
book.
too
right.
much. Yeah,
and we saw it a lot. I felt like we saw it a lot with Morgan Frost the first few games. He actually had a good face-off night the other night, 10-15. But you look at Lawton and Paling, they're on the same line. Lots took 4 face-offs the other night, and Pales took 12. So you know what's happening there. I don't know how much that throws things out of whack when you're trying to get your offense going and when you're having guys tossed out of the circle a lot. But I got to imagine it's at least a little annoying when you've got something drawn up off a face-off and then you have to kind of shift on the fly.
Yeah, and to a certain degree, absolutely. There's. I think it goes back to Jason. Is this too much ticky-tack calls right now? Mm-hmm. Guys getting booted out of face-offs and whatnot. And
it's like the start of the year. Here's the standard, and we have to let it settle out.
Yeah,
right?
but that's not what happens.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not how it goes, right? So If I were a ref, I'd call nothing.
Yeah. Two-handers only. You see it every year. And this time of year, Bundy, you see, goal totals, like, bet the over, because.
That would be the play.
Yeah, I mean,
right now.
There's a lot of double-digit goal totals in games this time of year.
Crazy start, right?
Eventually, that comes back that we start seeing 4-2 hockey again.
Yeah.
But for you, and when you played, when does kind of the structure click in? Is it Thanksgiving where things start, you start to get tape on what teams do? They like to come through the neutral zone, whatever it might be.
You know what, Jace? That's a great question. And you know what? It's something I was thinking about the other day. I just put my thoughts together about this early season. And one of them was the fact that it is a lot. Like, it's a lot harder in terms of getting yourself started here. And then wheeling back over again with guys coming back in. But I don't like the start of the year. I don't like the way that the refs have set the tone in terms of the way the game is. High-scoring games, yes. There's been a lot of them. And I don't know. That I was going to say, when you said the Thanksgiving thing, Jace, I don't even think you wait till Thanksgiving anymore. I think the games are too important now. Yeah. Like, when does the season start?
They mean just as much.
Because, and you know what? You're right. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second as I was saying it, because that's exactly what happens is that before we say, the season starts after Thanksgiving, if you think that you're going to go start your season after Thanksgiving, it's probably too late.
Yeah. A lot of that, the prognosticators have moved that up to November 1st.
Guys, why were the Philadelphia Flyers still alive with 10 games left and they had trouble winning?
What they did before Thanksgiving.
Because they had a great start. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. So that ended up becoming paramount to their year last year. And believe me, they're not off to the same start. They have to clean up the even strength goals and the amount of goals that are going in the net against them right now.
All right, we've got Bundy's 3 keys to victory coming up, line combinations and much more. It's opening night at the Wells Fargo Center. The Vancouver Canucks in town. We'll be back right after this on the Flyers Broadcast Network.
Clear. This is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
We're back at the Wells Fargo Center. Countdown to the home opener is on. Matvei Mishkov's debut in the regular season here at Wells Fargo Center. We've got some line combinations tonight. Let's start here, though. Flyers in goal tonight. It's going to be Sam Ersson. Mm-hmm. Not a shock. What is the goaltender? We know Ivan Fedot's gotten off to a bit of a rough start, and I always say that bleeds forward to the players. knowing you got Ayerson back there who can erase mistakes, what does that do for the D and the forwards in front of them?
Yeah, I think they should be excited to be. Again, I'm not looking at any whoever it is. It'll be nice to have Ersan in there for the home opener. They wanted to save him the other night, clearly, but he had then going into third and making things interesting for the Flyers. I think the Flyers need to make this about themselves tonight. Go out there, set the tempo in this game. It's going to be hard because Vancouver's trying to turn their page to their kind of rough start, if you will, to the season. And if you're Philadelphia, this is the beginning of your home stretch start. So early in the game, get pucks in deep and try to get them to play in their zone. That will also take a lot of pressure off you and fatigue off of you playing defense, which is always harder to do than playing offense.
No doubt about it. We actually have a big lineup kind of shuffle here in
A little
this
bit.
game tonight, don't we?
I saw it earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make sure I was looking at the right thing because we're a little isolated in here, so we have to watch warm-ups on video, and I wasn't sure I was seeing it right. But
Yeah. Well, the center position has changed, so we're actually going to start with the fourth line up. The
Yeah.
fourth line is going to be Ryan Poehling playing center
which is normal.
with Garnet Hathaway on his
Normal.
wing, and Sean Couturier
Yeah,
not
on the left
normal.
side.
On the left.
That's not
Not normal at all.
Yeah,
You guys remember last time?
Daily Faceoff had this listed, guys, 2 hours ago.
Wow.
Remember last time he played wing in a
No.
game?
I don't think he ever has.
I've never heard of Sean Couturier
Yeah.
wing.
No.
That is absolutely okay. I got to stop.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
got
stunning.
to. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely breathtaking. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jace. Next.
Well,
I'll
reeling
tell
here.
you who it
Hold
is.
on a sec.
You got to go third line. I'll see if we compare them. I got Forster on the left, Luchenko in the middle, and Bobby Brink on the right.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so that's your second, your third line, and it's listed as a second. Your next second line is going to be Farabee on the left, Scotty Lawton down the middle, with Travis Konechny on the right,
Wow.
and then your top line is your top heavy line is going to be Tippett left, Morgan Frost down the middle, and Mishkov on the right wing.
I'm stuck again.
You know
since
why,
he came
right?
into the league.
The reason why is because Lawton had such a good game in Seattle.
Yeah, you want to
And
ride
so
the wave.
they're going to
with
try to
confidence.
ride the wave. But to put Coots at left wing on the fourth line, I mean,
Yeah.
that is absolutely mesmerizing. That's just strange.
Wow, that is incredible. Again, since he's been drafted, and he came right in his draft here like Luchenko, and I don't ever recall him taking a shift on the wing.
You're right. I cannot remember him playing one single shift other than center his whole career.
I mean, if he was with Giroux out there, they would
Yeah.
swap on based on sides for face-off.
Or
but-
someone gets kicked out of the draw.
But when he was
Right.
with Giroux too, Giroux moved to the wing. He didn't move to the wing.
Right, yeah.
When the puck was in play.
I mean, the way it's played out here over the last 4 games is you wonder if there's an injury. I mean, if he's playing through something, I don't know.
Well, he's coming off that surgery.
Yeah, I mean, there was the one game where he had 9 minutes ice time. Now, he had a fight, and there were a lot of penalties, but that's still 9 minutes of ice time for Sean Couturier. So you wonder if there's something else at play here, or is this just the way it is?
I think, Bundy, I think you nailed it. Lawton and that fourth line with Hathaway and Poehling, I mean, they were the catalyst in that game the other night to offense early.
When we asked Briere, we did that interview beginning of the year. One of the things I said, you guys going to try to manage Couturier's numbers? And it basically said, we have to.
Yeah.
We have to.
That's a smart play.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But again, it's I think you're and with Lawton, was he playing center the other night?
No,
No,
on
he
the
was
wing.
playing on the wing.
So
on the left
I
wing,
guess that's just an interesting solution to get him up in the lineup is to
I'm just trying to put it together.
Coots at
Smitty.
wing.
I
You
can't.
know?
I can't figure
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
There's no. They're going to check.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say, guys.
Absolutely incredible. The D pairs, York and Sanheim, Zamula and Ristolainen, and Johnson and Drysdale.
Okay.
The other night in the game, Bundy, the 6th goal that Seattle scored, York was out
Oh,
with
yeah.
Drysdale. And I know the situational hockey here is you score 2 goals, you get back within 1. York's kind of already deep in the zone, becomes the weak side, and Drysdale goes for a kind of a Hail Mary
You got to feel that.
pinch.
Yeah.
And York is not covering deep
Yeah.
into the middle, and you get the breakaway.
Yeah, you got to feel that. One of those plays where you get that. I always say you get like a pit in your stomach before it happens.
Yeah.
When you know that something really bad could happen here, and it did. I mean, the Flyers were right in that game.
You got all the momentum in the world. You don't want to incur the risk there, right?
And they had no business being in that game at the end of the second period. And they somehow, to their credit, give them credit, found a way to crawl back in it. And then to lose it on kind of a goal that was preventable, at least the opportunity, it was discouraging for sure.
You're listening to 97.5, The Fanatic, WPEN, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. And we are broadcasting from the Wells Fargo Center as the Flyers will host the Vancouver Canucks for their home opener tonight. Let's get to Bundy's 3 keys. Key number 1
Put
to
Sean
victory.
Couturier at left wing.
No?
The
Three
You'd have had
keys.
that. I'd have been impressed.
So you know what it is tonight, guys? I said the first thing I said is quick shift first period. So get on the ice. If it's 30 or 40 seconds, get everybody going. Let them get a feel of the game. Get your legs under you. Fatigue will be a factor. Don't let it be the ultimate deciding factor. That's number 1. Number
Key 2.
Number 2. Elias Pettersson. He's probably, you think Owen Tippett's having trouble? You should see what they're saying in Vancouver about Elias Pettersson. This guy signed an $11.5 million year extension. He has got no goals and 1 assist. Be aware of him tonight. I can assure you there's been a ton of pressure on this guy to get things going after getting that payday. And the third thing, guys, which is the biggest point for me tonight, top players need to hit the net. Nothing good happens unless you create chaos around the net, and the only way to do that is to put pucks at the net where they stay at the net, not wide so you break the other team out.
Speaking of chaos, that fourth line is going to start, so they're
that
not
right?
hiding it. I'm sure the graphics people are going nuts right now.
They didn't have a pre-built graphic for that.
That's how you make up for putting Coots on fourth line on the wing.
You're going to start tonight. They're going to start the Paling Couturier Hathaway line. Bundy, one thing that has happened so far this year that I don't like is Couturier fought in the preseason. He's fought in a regular season game. Forster's fought, Farabee's fought, and Konechny fought in that game the other night. After he went out after that really kind of scary hit that he took, he ends up fighting in the third period. You don't have Nick Delarier in the lineup. How do you create accountability but not doing it by taking the gloves off for the opposition?
Just swarm them. Just swarm them like bees. You know, one guy gets into the forecheck, second guy have good puck presence and knowledge of where it's going. If there's a pinch by the defenseman, you can always keep life going by being physical and making good, strong physical plays.
Playing mean?
Play hard.
Yeah.
Play hard. You can't even play mean anymore, you know, without a call coming. You know, play tough. You know, what does that mean, play tough anymore? It means getting to the puck first so you can get the play. That's what I think playing tough is now in the NHL. But you can do that. You can be the instigator with the puck, be determined, and you can make their night a long night. Opening nights are always special. They are. They don't always go your way, but they certainly give you the advantage for things to go your way. And I think that's what the Flyers should have, some excitement. Torts obviously wants to get that fourth line going to see if they can create a little bit of energy. That's certainly a way of signaling to people that, hey, we want to get things rolling here early. We're going to start these guys.
Yeah, and then, you know, this is the night where you need energy, right? With this travel and everything like that going on. We saw some instances in the last couple of games of that road trip where there was some big time scrums and stuff behind the net. I mean, that was one way. It wasn't a straight up fight, although, you know, Konechny did end up fighting at the end of that scrum. But you know, there's been a couple of times, like it was first period the other night, where Hathaway just got absolutely hacked in front of the net by the goalie, and you know, the Flyers were trying to get back at that. So, you know, I think it probably behooves them to let's start this before something else happens, right? Let's not wait till we're down 3 goals. You know, let's try to hit this from the very start.
I totally agree. There's no point waning in the water here. Just get right after it, you know. Again, you're familiar with Vancouver, but don't let them take the pace to you,
Right.
you know. And I think, like, when that happens, get it sealed off as a defenseman. Take some pride in hammering a guy and then getting the puck and getting it out of the zone and make them come back. If they're going to be good in your zone, make them have to play in your zone. And if they're and they'll be able to do that if you don't put the work in. If the Flyers put the work in tonight, they'll have a successful night here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the home opener. Stay tuned, though. That's going to wrap things up for the Fanatic Flyers pregame show. Tim Saunders, Todd Fedora, countdown to face-off, followed by all the first period action for the home opener as the Flyers take on the Vancouver Canucks. You've been listening to Flyers pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network.
Clear. You're listening